I started having singing lessons in 1980, and actually my sister had started having lessons with this man, and she decided that she didn't want to continue and finish the course, so I took over her lessons.
Almost 20 years,
Okay.
so quite some time.
Okay.
And but it's been an interesting journey because not everybody gets taught well in the beginning, and I was one of the unfortunates who didn't get taught so well. So I had quite a long journey to undo the damage and then rework my voice.
Mm-hmm.
So often there's a great learning curve there, but now I've arrived at a place where I'm enjoying myself. The idea came about because we were actually doing a small primary school show, and we have another group called Pt4, and Tony will tell you about that. And one time she was approached by someone to actually perhaps start a foundation to help take this program and I suppose take music to children on a greater scale. And so it started on a small scale and escalated, and obviously there's a real need out there for children to have access to all sorts of different kind of music, and beautiful classical music, which is often a lot of our heritage and a lot of our cultural history. So it's really important to be able to take live music to kids and also theatre. And I think a lot of people see that that's a valuable thing, and it makes a difference to kids, well, in their entire life and their psyche and just about everything you can think of that makes a human being.
Okay, thank you very much.
No
That was
worries.
great.
Well, it was actually, we already were doing some primary performances, as Dominique was saying earlier, but what actually happened was that as Pt4, which is our original group that performs for general public audiences, we were performing at Dame Elizabeth Murdoch's 90th birthday. And at the end of the performance, her son-in-law said, "Where do you feel the greatest need in the community is?" And I said, well, look, a lot of young kids are very disenfranchised with life and school and just, don't see, I guess, a very positive hope for the future. And we had become aware of the fact that quite a lot of schools didn't have access to music at all. We didn't realise it was 3 out of 4 government schools back then. It was only subsequently. But anyway, he said, why don't you set up a foundation and we'll support you. So that's what happened. The Song Room began 8 years ago, and we've now reached 100,000 disadvantaged children with programs like today, but also, of course, our 6-month-long intensive workshops in schools where a performing artist goes out in a school and helps form their first ever choir or a drumming group, or of their first ever production, something that the school would otherwise not be able to do, because most schools don't have specialist music teachers. And unless you've learnt these sorts of skills, it's really hard to stand up in front of a class and confidently teach and inspire a group of children who potentially might be very cynical. So the aim with the Song Room is to inspire children so that they will become better in all areas of learning, so academic results, but also in communication, self-esteem, teamwork and so on. And we reach the most disadvantaged schools, so they're children who live in areas of high juvenile crime, or perhaps from Indigenous populations, a lot of recent immigrants to Australia, kids with special needs, physical and intellectual disabilities, and isolated kids who come from the country. So today, I guess there was a number of the most disadvantaged schools in Sydney here at the Opera House. As you could see from the response, they were completely very excited, and it was quite deafening but thrilling on stage. I had goosebumps the whole show, I think. And you could tell, these kids had never seen anything like that before in their lives. They've certainly never seen opera. Most of them have never been to the Opera House and experienced the magic that is music and theatre, and particularly classical music. I think it's really important for children to have access to classical music, because a lot of what kids grow up with now is, contemporary hits or, Australian Idol, and that's wonderful because it inspires kids to go out and perform. But it's also really important, I think, for kids to hear the great music like Mozart and Beethoven and Bach and Puccini and all of these beautiful operas, because that music has survived for many hundreds of years for a reason, because it taps into our emotions and inspires our creativity. So the Song Room's all about that, creating magic and helping kids to achieve a passion for lifelong learning.